Hi everyone, welcome to Greeklish Outdoors. Today we're going to be camping overnight in a pop-up toilet tent. So stick around. So this is a pop-up toilet tent from Wolfwise. It comes in this nice little carry bag which does have two handles so you can carry it on your back. So I had the idea, could I spend the night in a pop-up toilet tent? So I purchased this online from Amazon and it has arrived, and so we are going to try this challenge tonight. But first, let's look in the bag and see what you get. So if you unzip the bag, it contains the actual pop-up toilet itself. It contains a cap for the top of the toilet tent, and it contains a small ground sheet. There's also a little bag here which contains guy lines and pegs. If I open these up now, we get a total of 8 of these pegs, and we also get corresponding guy lines to help keep this thing tied down. This is going to be very useful as the tent is very tall and thin, so therefore the wind will impact it quite a lot. So the tent doesn't come with any putting up instructions. I think that's fairly obvious. You just undo the strap and it will pop up into shape. But it does come with the collapsing instructions, as apparently it can be a little bit tricky. We will test that tomorrow morning. So let's get this pop-up toilet tent up and see how much space I'm going to have to move around in here tonight. Right, so that is the toilet tent up. I haven't put the cap on the top yet, but that is going to be my home for the night. Definitely need these guy lines to tie it down because it's such a tall tent and there's only 4 pegs in the corners, and it does want to lean overwards in the wind. So there is one entrance to the tent on the front door here. There are 2 windows which you can zip down from the inside, one on the back, and then there's this massive amount of mesh on the top, hence why there is a cap which connects to these points here too, and that makes it water resistant, they say. One thing I can say is that the pegs are terrible. They are so thin, they're not very strong. It is dry here, so the ground is a little bit hard, but even still, it was really difficult to get them in. At least one peg bent as I put it in. I did bring some extra pegs just in case these were pretty bad, so I do have backups. From the outside, the quality of the tent seems okay so far. So a few facts and figures about this tent. It is UPF 50 plus silver coated, which means it does stop a lot of the UV from getting inside. So the dimensions of this tent are 120 centimetres by 120 centimetres at the base. Of course, it does get a little bit smaller at the top because the tent is fluted. It is 190 centimetres tall and it weighs 2.18 kilograms, which is 4.8 pounds. The seams of this tent have been taped, so it should be water resistant. The company do not give a hydrostatic head rating on this though, so I don't know how waterproof this thing is, and the material is listed just as polyester. And because of those side windows, you can actually use it as a shower tent as well. Let's have a look inside and see how much space we've got to work with. These zips do feel quite cheap. These are definitely not YKK zippers, but the zipper is fairly smooth. Right, so this is home for the night. Let's have a look inside. The foot space doesn't look too bad. Obviously I cannot lay down in this. It's 120 centimeters and I'm 187 centimeters, so I'm just not going to fit. So what I will do is I will put my camping chair in there. So inside we have a little pocket to put any bits and pieces. Unfortunately I cannot see any washing line or any loops of which I could possibly hang my lantern, so we'll have to sort that out later on. There's not exactly a lot of space for me to move around in here, and already because of this silver lining it might be stopping the UV rays coming through, but it does feel like a sauna in here. Because of that I'm going to open these interior zips. One thing I have noticed is that when these are zipped up and you're inside, you can see the little gaps between the zip, and there is no storm flap on these, so water will get in through those gaps and drip down the inside of the tent. Plenty enough room for the chair. I can probably get a few bits and pieces around me too, some food. Because of this ground sheet in here, I don't have to worry about anything getting too dirty, which is very good. And with those little windows open, it's a little bit cooler as well. I'm not expecting rain tonight, so I probably will not put the cap on. I will show you how that goes on now. So quite a few hundreds of miles away, Oktoberfest is well on its way now. So in honour of that and my German relatives, I'm going to have a beer. Just picked this up from the local supermarket. Cheers to you all. Thanks for joining me on this little adventure. To say it's quite warm, it's not too bad. Cheers. So this is Schneider Weiss, original Weiss beer, handcrafted in Bavaria, tap number 7, and it is 5.4% alcohol. It really does look like I'm talking to you while I sat in the toilet, doesn't it? I mean, technically, I'm in a toilet tent, but I'm not having a shit. There are so many flies and flying insects around today. It is a little bit torturous at times. I've just put on some insect repellent, but when I was flying my drone around before, I just landed it and it was covered in pieces of bug juice, etc. So something about the noise of the drone is really attracting them. I've got some delicious food to cook now, but one thing I forgot was a fork, so we're going to have to make one. Let's walk down to the little woodland and see if we can find some wood to carve the fork out of. You see the chestnut trees here. Some of them are actually coming into fruit. In a short while we'll be picking chestnuts, which is a prickly job. One thing I'm yet to effectively deal with in this little woodland is the carpenter ants. They're just ravishing a lot of the trees. Some trees have already died and so that's not a problem, but They're also attacking some limbs of some which seem to be healthy trees. You might think, what's the problem here with that? But often when I come here to get some dead wood to burn for a campfire, then I chop a branch off and it is full of ants, and they do bite. I've just started chopping this branch here, and all of a sudden, what do we have but thousands of carpenter ants coming to defend what they believe is their territory. Just going to check down here, see if I can find any little pieces. I do have to be careful around here though. I've been caught out before. Once I was in this woodland just chopping some wood up, and I got a bit of an upset stomach, and I had to go in the woodland in here, in this direction where I'm about to walk now. A few weeks later I came back, walking through here trying to collect some more wood, and stepped in my own shit. It's not what you want to do, not on a really hot day. Don't step in your own shit. I found a nice dead piece here. Whatever I don't use for a fork, I'll probably chop it up and use it for firewood later on. Good piece to try and cut a fork out of. There's a natural split in there, so I'm just going to cut that part off. That's another pair of gloves ruined. It's not going to win any awards, but my little fork. All I need it for is to jab into the meat, so a basic fork will do today. So it's time to make some food. I'm not going to use wood for the lunch today. If I want to, I might use a few sticks and have a small fire later on, but things are very, very dry here, so I'm trying to avoid wood and things that spark so much. So the barbecue I'm using today is meant to be better for the environment. It doesn't have any of the metals or plastic covers like some of the usual disposable barbecues do. It's made of cardboard, the charcoals are inside, it has a fire lighter underneath there which you light, and then basically you wait until all of this is burnt down to the coals and you can start cooking. So what have I got to eat for lunch today? Nice corn on the cob, which I'll roast over the fire in this shell. I've got a nice big tomato and a really nice steak in here, which I will show you when I put it on the actual grill, and some lemon and some paprika salt to put on it afterwards. So now the box is gone and we're left with just the coals. I'm going to put my grill across. I'm using a titanium grill today, so you can see already why this would be better for the environment than the regular disposable barbecues. Yes, they're about 150 and this was about €4, but there's no metal work involved in it. I get to use my own grill, which of course is reusable many times, and we're creating a little bit less waste for the environment. Just going to stick this fairly close to the fire and let that slowly cook away. So here is my steak. Nice big steak for my lunch. Let's get it on this grill. Put some of this nice paprika salt all over it. That is delicious. Beef steak on the bone, tomato and corn on the cob, just finishing off on the grill now. Some lovely juicy pieces of steak. I know what we need with this. Another beer. He's happy. I'm happy. I hope you at home are happy. Cheers to you. Not bad at all. Wow, that steak was delicious, so juicy, full of flavour. It's always good to get meat when it's on the bone. The fork did really well. I'm quite impressed. Did the job, and now I'm just waiting for my corn to finish off. Delicious roasted corn, a little bit more of the paprika salt. That is delicious. That is delicious. Nice, roasted over the fire. This has turned into a good lunch. Whew, I am stuffed after all that food. But it was very tasty. Now I'm just going to relax a little bit in the toilet tent. I'm expecting it to be quite uncomfortable sat up all night, so I've got an old piece of pallet wood here. If I put my gloves on either end, I can then rest it on the between the two arms of the chair, and I've got something to rest my arms on and potentially lean over. It's an option because I'm sure most of you know that if you fall asleep whilst in a chair, either you do the old head jolt or you end up going back and like that, and I don't really want that to happen, so maybe it'll work. We'll see. I'm planning, but it might not work. We've got to try these things, haven't we? You've got to try it. You've got to be a trier. In this life, you've got to be a trier. temperature's dropping a little bit and I think it's time for another beer. So my last beer of today, this is the Macfarlane Red Beer. This is brewed by the Murphy Company, I believe, and 5.6%. Unfortunately, it's not cold. So, Prost, Skål, cheers, Yamas, chin chin to you all. Oh wow, it tastes like beer. So it's really nice beside the fire. The sun's gone down, so the temperature's dropped a little bit. Just relaxing here for a few moments before I transfer everything into the toilet tent. I'm not sure whether I'll have anything to eat tonight for dinner. I'm still quite full, to be honest, from the steak and the corn. Anyway, I'll have a few more minutes beside the fire and then I'll bring you into the tent with me. Right, so I'm inside the tent. There's not much room in here, but I've got all my stuff in here with me. I've got my little anti-mosquito light on the go. But yeah, it's quite cozy. It's almost 8 o'clock and it's pretty much pitch black outside now. I'd say I have another 10 hours until the sun comes up again. For now, I'm going to chill out a little bit, listen to some music. I'll bring you back in a little bit. It's getting a little bit chillier now. I didn't bring a sleeping bag with me, but I did bring my US military poncho liner. Hopefully this should be enough tonight. Right, so it's about 9:30 now. It's getting a little bit chilly. The temperature's dropped down to about 16 degrees. I've decided to keep the cap for the top of the tent off for now. I wanted to keep some ventilation in here. I was afraid of it getting too much condensation if I kept that on. But if it gets too cold, too windy in here, then I might put that back on again. Anyway, so I'm going to try, if I can, find a position where I can get some sleep. I will let you know how things go through the night. Bye for now. Well, it is about 1:30. I'm still awake. The only thing that's changed is that bugs have started coming into the toilet tent, including this one. A nice little slug. Nothing much I can do about that. Slugs don't seem to be put off by the insect repellent. I am getting tired though now, so I'm hoping now I'm wrapped up in my blanket I might get at least a few minutes sleep. I'll catch you later. Morning everyone. It's about 6:30 now. In the end I did manage to have an hour or two sleep. It definitely wasn't the most comfortable night I've ever had, but it definitely wasn't the worst either. The only thing is that the temperature got a little bit lower than I thought it was going to do, and I was pretty cold during the night. In fact, my legs were shaking at one point, so I got a heat patch to put under my jumper. But apart from that, it wasn't too bad. Most of the bugs seem to have been stopped by the bug spray, so I didn't get eaten to death in the middle of the night. I did hear in the middle of the night what I think was a wild boar snorting around fairly close by, and then a little bit later something was right next to the tent sniffing around. I don't know what that was, but apart from that, a pretty uneventful night. The sun will soon be rising, and when it does, I will get out of this tent, stretch my legs a little bit, and probably have a drink. I'm pretty tired. So, overall, a successful night in the fact that I made it all the way through. I had no backup, so basically I had no choice apart from sleeping in the pickup truck. But it wasn't the worst night I've ever spent camping. Would I do it again? Probably not, to be honest. The tent will still be used, but as its original design intended, so either as a toilet or as a shower cubicle, especially when I'm taking the family camping with me as well. So yeah, it wasn't a total disaster, but to be honest, I'm tired. I want to pack this thing up, get home, have some breakfast, and maybe have an hour's sleep. So all there's left to do is put this down and I'm away. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, then maybe you'd consider subscribing to the channel. But for now, thanks for watching. Take care, much love. See you next time.